Is this just another way of ensuring that the NCAA is not going to be paying its athletes?
Yeah, I think that this is like the NCAA often does. It takes interim steps as a way of trying to push back pressures on the NCAA to pay athletes, that whether it's allowing players to get the full cost of attendance, which really was a reflection of Ed O'Bannon's case, where O'Bannon sued and then the NCAA made that shift. And I think the NCAA is an entity where when it gets sued or when it gets called to the table, it does cede certain things, but it wants to hold on to this fundamental idea of amateurism, this fundamental idea of the student athlete that remain very controversial. So, yeah, I do think this is a response by the NCAA to sort of push back some of the larger pressures against it. But at the end of the day, the NCAA can only hold on as long as the market lets it. And if conferences continue to become more and more autonomous and continue to do their own TV deals, I think we're going to see a lot of conferences say, why do we need the NCAA?
Yeah.
Why does the SEC need it? Couldn't they just make up their own rules?
Michael, thank you. I appreciate your time as always.
Thanks, Dan.
That's Michael McCann, legal expert at Sports Illustrated. We've talked about that in years past, that why doesn't the SEC just govern the SEC? As powerful as the SEC is, or the Big Ten. But, this whole amateurism and, the concept of it being sacred, the NCAA, it feels like just saying some things that sound good or look good. But I think in reality, when you do a little bit deeper dive here, I'm going, I don't see much here. These kids all have representation as it is. Now, it's not official, but they have representation. And why wouldn't you? If your son was good or a chance to be great, wouldn't you seek out some kind of, professional advice here? I mean, that's just common sense. I would. And you could, keep your son away from it because you could be the one that's filtering this, or you have a coach who's going to be doing it, an AAU coach, a friend who's going to be doing it. But I just think that, I think it looks like there's progress here. I don't think there's progress here. Some of these things needed to be taken care of to begin with. And then the NCAA is going to say, hey, look at us, progress. Okay. Some of these things should have been done, 5, 10, 15 years ago. Yeah, Paul.
Is this a good thing, though, if you're a college freshman and you say, I'm awesome, you put your name in the draft and you go mid-second round, you have the option to go back to college. That works out for everybody, the athlete himself, and then works out for college. You get a good player back.
How can you do this with basketball and not do this for football? Even women's basketball, and you may say, well, it's not the revenue-producing professional sport, but what are you going to say to these athletes? How can you say, well, you're a woman or you're a football player? Well, I don't think you can pick and choose when it comes to amateur athleticism. I don't think you can do that with college athletics. Yeah, Paul.
I know this is an odd example, but remember when Geno Smith slipped to the second round of the draft? He would have had the option, I'm guessing, to go back to West Virginia or another college. I know that's an extreme example, but with this rule, I think that would be...
No, he's a football player.
But I'm saying if the football had this as well.
Yeah, but they don't.
Right.
But that's another problem that I would have with this. Wait, so just how many players does this really affect? Is this just the elite players that it affects? Right? Yeah, see.
But shouldn't the elite players be treated differently?
They already are.
Right, okay, and they should be. People who are there to play basketball should be treated like people who are just there to play basketball. I mean, we've said that time and time again. They're not student athletes. They're basketball players. They're professional athletes that are there for a minute. And why not treat them that way? Give them special classes like we've said about like accounting, business practices and stuff like that. And classes that are geared towards like, no, you don't have to take your philosophy class unless you want to. You know what I mean?
Oh, I think if you're going to do it, then go all in. And I've said before for years now, if you're going to, let's say Kentucky, and these kids know that they're one and done, how do I best prepare you so you don't make a mockery of college? That you're actually going to take classes that are going to help you as a professional basketball player. We're going to help you with investments, balancing a bank account. We're going to talk to you about, real estate, the stock market, things that you may say, well, you're not going to teach those in college. Well, why not? I'd rather that you went to class to learn something instead of make a mockery of the fact that you're sort of going to class or somebody's doing your work for you. Like, maintain the integrity of college. But if you're going to have elite athletes and you're going to designate them as elite athletes, then treat them as such as college students. You're elite college athletes, but we want you to have an education. We want you to go to class. We want you to at least give an effort here. I think that would be the approach that I would have. But I can't imagine football is going to go, oh, okay, so basketball gets to do this, but not football. And the women's basketball programs, you're probably going to have the same approach, with Title IX. So I didn't take much from it. Got a lot of headlines there, but I think it's back to the drawing board there.
For more Dan Patrick Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV or download the Dan Patrick Show app.